Recording in progress.
Evacuation complete. Yale Brothers, episode 83.
When you're tortured with confusion and you're so alone, condemned to a delusion all your own. When it feels the bed you're sleeping in is trembling with your fears, and the life supply of towels won't dry the tears. You got to rise above it, rise above it, baby. Take a stand for what you are, rise above. I grab the hand of my soul, I listen to the voice. I took control and made a final choice. That the life I lead is purely up to me. I sow the seed so I can be set free. Well, it's no easy task to look behind the mask, to see beyond the veil. Never fail. You do what you will, and everything stands still, and everything goes black. Try to get it back. Feel that you have, you're gonna feel it again. Shack. He was waiting to come back. I said, where you been, man? He said, I've been here all alone. Cause when I see the shape I'm in, I wanna run away and hide. It's all too much to see. Got to rise above. Rise above. You got to rise above it. Got to rise. You got to rise above it. Rise above it, baby. Rise above it for what you are, and rise above it. Right.
Man, episode 83 on a new year. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, Chris. How are you?
Good, Raj. We are the Yale brothers.
Man, I'm glad to be back with you.
Oh,
it's almost like looking at my mug with a beard. I'm very excited about this episode.
Yeah.
But before we get started, I just want to let you know I think that's a terrific song. Rise Above It.
Thank you very much.
It's
you were on it, so I mean,
that was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, appropriate Hollywood days. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the theme, Rise Above It, I think is awesome.
Apropos, shall we say?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to annoy you guys with this long-winded intro, but I'm nothing if not trying to be over-prepared. So
take it easy, Chris, to tip it.
I'm very excited. May I?
May you please introduce our special guest?
Absolutely. Here we go. A while back on this podcast, we interviewed our friend Casey King, the founder and organizer of the Addiction and Recovery Lecture Series at Horry-Georgetown Technical College here in the Myrtle Beach area. The series is known for featuring a who's who of celebrity speakers over the years, including Lou Gossett Jr., Craig T. Nelson, Mackenzie Phillips, shout out Hollywood Professional School, Paul Williams, Dr. Drew Pinsky, rocker Art Alexakis from Everclear, and Machete himself, Danny Trejo. Currently, Trejo's appearance was the biggest on-campus event in the college's history. But this series returns later this month for its 17th installment. And Tom Arnold, yes, that Tom Arnold, kicks off the series on Thursday, January 25th. It will run on consecutive Thursdays through February 15th. If you're a certain age like we are, you'll remember Tom from his work on the long-running ABC sitcom Roseanne, or that he was once married to the show's star, Roseanne Barr. And who can forget him opposite Arnold Schwarzenegger in True Lies? And may I say the hilarious restroom scene in Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I love it.
Oh, yeah. Iconic, dude.
Iconic. Tom cut his teeth on stand-up, which he still performs, and he has appeared in scores of films and television shows over more than 3 decades. He's also a single parent of a son and a daughter. I'd like to talk about that, too. And Tom, also in recovery, has been very open about his experience with addiction, relapse, child sexual abuse, and a series of health scares over the years. But if I may put out, he's arguably in the best shape of his life now. We're happy to have him on the show today, and we're very excited. Welcome, Tom. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks, boys. Good, happy whatever day it is. Good to be with you.
It's so excellent.
Thank you so much, Tom. I guess I'd like to ask you if you've ever been to Myrtle Beach before.
I have been to Myrtle Beach. I can't remember the first. Did they have a Planet Hollywood there? I don't know.
Yes. Used to.
Okay. That's why that's for a Planet Hollywood thing. But yeah, everybody's been to Myrtle Beach a few times. Yeah, it's a beautiful place, and this Casey King he's a go-getter, man. He really is doing wonderful things down there, and he's been great to work with, and I'm finally excited to get down there and see you guys.
Oh my God, we can't wait!
Fantastic, man.
We can't wait to meet you. I love Casey. Chris loves Casey.
Yeah.
He started this thing in 2008. It's still going strong, and I'm thankful that he put us in touch. Are you planning on going in cold? Are you on your keynote? Is it going to be off the cuff, prepared? What do you plan? What kind of ground do you plan on covering in your presentation?
Well, I'm going to do my story, and depending on how much time Casey wants, I'll do a good version of my story, my journey, the ups and downs, whatever. Maybe there'll be a couple, because, we're ridiculous addict alcoholics. We go through some ridiculous things, put ourselves through, put other people through. So, I'll just share honestly my experience, strength, hope, and whatever comes with that. And I take my phone up so I can keep track of my time. Because, I can lose track of time. And, like last night, did a set at the down in Hollywood at the Roosevelt Hotel down there.
Oh, right on.
And it was 20 minutes, but I bring that thing out there because I'll start something and then I'll think, how long have I been up here? And I really do my best to honor the time. Last week before I was at Buffalo, and I do an hour. So there's it's easier to do a long, in stand-up comedy, for me anyway, long set than to, do it. Sometimes around here, like the Improv tonight, I think I'm doing 15 minutes. They have which is great for the audience because they have a bunch of comics, each doing 15 minutes or whatever, and they get to see like a variety of people, which I enjoy watching too, because, I forget, it's fun to go out and watch comedy. It's fun to, there are a lot of alcoholics doing comedy.
Go figure.
I'll watch the person before me, and I'm like, oh, they're doing all the alcoholic addict material. Shit. I'll do my better alcoholic material. But no, it's great. It's great to get out and as human beings and mingle with people. And so, I'll be doing whatever needs to be done when I'm in Myrtle Beach.
Oh, my God.
Excellent, brother. Excellent.
Awesome, Tom. Thank you for your candor. By the way, I happened to see you on FUBAR the other night. Your character, Norm Carlson, was, can I say, likable and sinister at the same time?
Yeah, weird. It was a weird character to play. I'm excited that our strike is over, so I can come back and do more episodes of FUBAR.
Oh, amen. That was a question.
Really?
Great.
Yeah.
I will tell you, though, that I don't ever want to think about bone marrow ever again.
Well, the funny thing is, it's a very creepy character and very different than my True Lies character with Arnold. But many years ago, I worked at the Iowa Hospital School, University of Iowa Hospital. Was my job in college. And I came in, you come in the morning. This is when I was, living the college life, and you come in the morning and there'd be a sign on the thing that said, hey, donate blood, $7, or plasma, $7. I did it all. Just $7 back then at the University of Iowa. It was nickel beer.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Of course.
So I did that. I would do blood and plasma. I had to do it at two different hospitals because they didn't allow it. And I was very lightheaded. I was a terrible student, but I did it. And one day I came in and said, $50, donate bone marrow. I'm like, hell, yes, I'm in.
Oh.
I am in there. And this is back before. It's easier to do this now.
Oh, yeah.
But this is some years ago. So the nurses that all worked there at the hospital school were our buddies. And one of them came up to me and said, hey, I heard you're donating bone marrow. I go, yeah, of course. And by the way, before I go any further, they had donate sperm, $35 one day. And I went home and got my 5 roommates. Because I just prayed to God, what am I going to do with my life? And I came in and saw the sign and go, that's what I'm going to do. 3 times a day. And my roommates, who are still friends of mine, five guys, we piled in the car. We went down there to the University of Iowa Fertility Clinic. We come busting in there, and the doctor's like, slow down, boys. Slow down. Now, we don't take just any yahoo here at the University of Iowa Fertility Clinic. We have to test your sperm first.
Oh, boy.
And I'm like, wow. Well, mine's a little sticky, but I think it'll be fine. But anyway, they tested my sperm, and the doctor came back and pulled me out of the herd. He said, I have bad news, Mr. Arnold. You can't be a part of our program. And I was like, well, why is that? And he said, because you don't have enough swimmers. I go, really? How many swimmers do I have? He goes, you have 2. And I go, that seems like just common sense. That seems like enough. And well, your buddies have 2 million.
Yeah, so, what the hell, Tom?
They'll never get a woman pregnant the normal way. And I got to say, I was disappointed because of the money, but I also thought, well, that'll be a positive when I'm asking women to go out with me and say, hey, and I don't know if you heard, but I can't even get you pregnant. I mean, worst thing I can do is sweat on you and give you a staph infection. And then, of course, one day I wanted to have a family, so it became a thing of modern science. But the bone marrow. So the nurse is like, wow, you're a hero for donating bone marrow. I go, no, I'm not really. Whatever, I'll do it. And they knew something that I didn't know. And I went into the room with the doctor and the nurses and then laid down on the bed there. And the doctor turns around and he has a corkscrew screw, like, we used to use on the farm. He goes, I'll tell you what, this is going to hurt like a MF.
Yeah.
I could give you numb your skin, but it's still going to hurt. It was like, I saw that thing and I was like, oh my God, they're going to screw that into my hip. And it's a moment, and we all have these in life where you're like, I could get up right now and run out of here, but I could never come back. Like, I'd have to keep running. And my nurse friends didn't know. They knew I didn't know that's how. I thought it was like, you give some blood, dude. And so, yeah, I did that. And it was a lesson learned. And it's much easier. By the way, I highly recommend donating bone marrow. It's much easier now. This is back in the day, back prehistoric.
Yeah, but oh my God.
Is that like a spinal tap? Or is that,
well, spinal tap is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I grew up on a farm, so I've seen this before, but not on humans, but they screw into they have a corkscrew needle, a very thick, and they screw it right into your hip and take the bone marrow from there. And at that time, that's what they thought, well, we get the best thing. This is a, complicated, and I still have a knot on my hip from it. But,
I see that.
I think when they do the spinal tap, it's not quite, it's a little more gentle, because I think I was treated like an animal. Like, we got to get this.
Well,
so it was fun for Arnold's show because I had done that before. I knew if that guy, I think I suggested the corkscrew.
Oh my God, I was going to ask you.
Good on you.
There's no, in the age of the internet and streaming, there's no real spoiler alert, but everyone do yourselves a favor and watch this episode.
It's fun. And you know what? I did, anytime you act in something, you're like, what knowledge do I have that this character, I thought, oh yeah, I know how to get bone marrow out of this guy's leg. I'll tell you how to do it. I'll do it the hard way, but because that was what was required for the show.
God, I had no idea. Thank you for being so open about that. That's crazy. I read that you came to LA in '88 after winning first place in the Minneapolis comedy competition. First of all, is that true? To pursue a career in stand-up?
Yes, I had moved. My dream, I worked on the kill floor of a meat packing plant for 3 years after high school to save money, because my dream was to go to the University of Iowa. And they had a stage up there at the Student Union. And I thought, man, I get up there, I get on that stage, 6 weeks, I'm hugely famous and whatever. That's not true. But I did get up there, and I did get on the stage. I thought I was amazing. And, my friends would all come to my shows, 50 guys. And we drink Everclear Punch before I did my shows, which are Everclear and powdered Gatorade. Not recommended and what would happen is real comedians from Minneapolis, I'd come down, open the show, then they would go on. And but the thing is, when I got done with my little set, all my friends left with me. So one of the comedians that had a club said, hey, if you get your friends to stay and watch us next time, I will give you a job at a comedy club in Minneapolis. And I was like, oh, I'm in on that. And so what I did was I got a trash bag with my clothes in it. I didn't have a driver's license or a car. And I took a bus up to Minneapolis, and that was it. I was done with college. I was a comedian, and I arrived at it was called the Comedy Cabaret. I went to the door of the place, and the owner, he opened it, and I said, I'm here. I don't have a place to live. Is there, and I don't have a job, but do you know anybody that needs a roommate? And he's like, oh my God, you moved here? I go, yeah. He goes, I offered you a job, but it was one weekend for $15. And I was like, well, I'm here. So I went to the bar. There was a bar called Williams Pub that served 200 kinds of beer. I went in there, met a waitress, applied for a job as a bouncer. She said they needed a roommate. I had $100. That's what she needed. Bam. And then that was, I did that for Minneapolis had 5 comedy clubs back then. It was a great place to do comedy, and I had to work at real jobs, of course, for the first couple, but met a lot of people. That's how I met Roseanne there, and right when I first moved up there in like 1983, so 41 years ago. And she was hilarious. She wasn't famous yet, but she was a comedian out of Denver. And the comedy club owner goes, you guys will like each other. I want you to open up a show for her. I saw her, and and she was great, and we hit it off, and you know, a lot of partying back in those days. But she was very, very funny, and I never seen a comic like her or a woman like her, especially. And she was amazing. She's a little older than me, but and then she said she thought I was funny. And as you guys know, men, we know we're good looking, but if you tell us we're funny, then you got us forever. Because that's so
keep them laughing, bro.
Yeah, we ended up working together. You know, we go on the road together. She was in LA, and then she had an HBO special, asked me to play her husband on it, ironically. In 87 and 88 with her TV show, I moved out there to write the Roseanne show. Wow. And which was, you know, I got to do for 6 years, write, produce, act on the show. And what a great opportunity for really my first real job.
Incredible.
So, however it ended, it was great fun and got to work with great people.
No doubt, brother.
That is incredible. And because we're a little nosy, we grew up in Hollywood. When we grew up, you know, the Magic Castle on Franklin?
Of course, I just drove by it. My kids are like, "Oh my God, what is that place?"
Oh my God, well, there's an apartment building right there. We grew up. Sorry, Tom, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you know, don't worry.
All right, I'm always curious. When you first came out to Hollywood, where'd you live?
Well, I lived pretty close to where the kids and I live now. We've been downsizing. I lived at Van Nuys, at Woodman, and Oxnard.
All right.
And got a little apartment there. The manager had set up, and then you know, I needed to work a little bit. There was a writer's strike as soon as I got here.
Oh God!
So I couldn't start on the Roseanne show, and I didn't have, you know, like money. I'd saved up for my going away shows in Minneapolis. You know, Roseanne came back, and we made some money to do before, but I knew I had to. I needed to work, so I needed to figure out something. But little place. I drive my kids by it once in a while ago because they always want to drive by our old house in Beverly Hills.
Sure.
And I go, yeah, okay, let's do that. And then we'll park out front. They'll go, you think they'd let us in? I go, I don't think so, but it's fine. But you know, and my kids, when they say, my kids are 10. My son's 10. My daughter just turned 8. Oh, and they say, my son's always like, Daddy, why don't you have a Lambo? And I say, well, I could have a Lambo, but 7 years ago I got you guys. So
I love it.
You know, we're very lucky. We like it, but I live pretty close to here. Oh, it does get a little shady where I live now.
Oh, yeah, I understand, man.
That's everywhere, man.
I was going to ask you if you were willing to burn your boats when you got there. In other words, were you prepared to stay in Hollywood no matter what? But you seem to have really,
yeah. And I had a you know, a job too, a good job. But you know, when it started,
yeah.
But actually, I was so dumb and naive. I mean, the stuff I used to do because I loved being a stand-up comic first. That I would sleep on people's couches. I'd work for nothing. I'd work for $10. I'd work, you know, and I think of that now at my age. I'm like, holy shit, no, there's no way. And so everything was this great opportunity. I was excited about stuff. I loved the stuff around it, you know, the stuff when things did work out, you know, and I met a group of like-minded people, which I highly recommend. And, you know, so I was crazy. I was like, okay, I'm all in on this. This is my dream. I'm going to do this, which makes you know, I grew up in Ottumwa, Iowa. You know, people did not go, you know, my dream is to be on television or be in the movies and stuff. And my thinking growing up was if I could just be on TV one time, then everybody in my hometown would love me. And that just turns out not to be true.
My God. Oh my God.
Yeah, I just, I burned the boats and, you know, whatever you guys call it.
Yeah, well, you know, in other words, no backup plan, just boom. It's astounding how quickly. When we're 60, so when there was Tom Arnold on the scene.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's astounding how quickly your career took off, and the rest is history, as they say. But I'd like to segue into part of your recovery journey, which you'll be talking about down here in Myrtle. But is it fair to say that you were already well on your way to addiction issues long before you set foot in Hollywood?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I've been arrested 7 times. I'm not the only famous Arnold. My sister was famous before me. There's a documentary series about my little sister called The Queen of Meth.
Saw
She
it,
was
love
the
it.
biggest drug dealer in America. It goes into our childhood too, kind of interesting. And people were like, "Were you embarrassed that your sister was a drug dealer?" And I'm like, "Not when I was doing drugs. I wasn't.
Yeah.
It was handy. It was handy.
It was handy.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Oh,
I was full on alcoholic. I would say since I was 12.
Yeah.
It was it seemed like everybody drank my age. It seemed like everybody, you could go into the bars at 14 or 15. I mean, it wasn't legal, but you go in and you're mixing with a lot of adults. So there'd be, fist fights with adults, which now that I have kids, I'm like, what the hell?
oh
But
my
our
God.
town was a small town that sort of ran that way. And, there was a lot of people, not everybody that drank as a teenager became an alcoholic, but I certainly did. And in our town, you either drank or you did drugs. You were either, like a stoner or a redneck.
Oh, yeah.
There's no, and we're, like, oh, well, I don't do drugs. And in fact, my football coach, who I'm still friends with, he just graduated from the University of Iowa. He was the MVP in Iowa. Then he comes down to coach us. And, I'm having none of that because he's not that much older than me. And so we got into a few tangles, but he was also our gym teacher, which I don't think he liked being the gym teacher, but he would go and throw 6 balls out in the middle of the basketball court. And it's for us to play bombardment, which is dodgeball. And he'd go, rednecks over here, greasers over here, go at it, or whatever.
Oh, that's fun.
And we would really, he's a guy I've become friends with later in life. And we both admit that we were maybe not at our best coming in, but he's a great guy, and which is a nice thing about getting sober but yeah, no, it was full on. And then after I left my hometown, someone, when I moved to Minneapolis, someone said, "Do you want to do some cocaine?" And I was like, I guess it's time to try that. And they gave me a bindle. I went I worked at First Avenue, by the way, where they made Purple Rain, literally why they were making the movie Purple Rain. So I went in the bathroom, came back, and she said, "Okay, where's the bindle?" I go, "Oh no, I did it all."
Oh,
She goes, "Oh, well, I go, well, then we'll get more. I have my girlfriend's credit card. And really from that point just escalated. And I was thinking, well, if I'm going to drink this much, I need something to balance that out, which is madness.
right.
And it escalated, and until I moved to Hollywood, and I realized, people don't think this is cool. Like, people I'm working with are shocked. Like, I thought it would be just, that's what you did. Then you made more money, you bought more drugs, you buy in quantity. Even Roseanne's like, "Oh, wait a minute, do you do this every day?" I go, yeah. She goes, "I thought you only did it when we got together on the road every 3 months." I go, "No, I like to do it every day." She goes, "That's bad." I go, "Is it?" "Oh, yeah." And I thought, well, I guess I have to hide it from her.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it escalated it.
But before Chris, what happened to me?
You're there.
Before we go on, there is something. I was stunned when I was watching Queen of Meth, but obviously money and fame have added fuel to this already smoldering fire. But in Queen of Meth in particular, now it's been a while since I've seen it, but I recall your sister talking about one time somebody, maybe your husband, had given you a good bit of coke, and it was you did it all in one go, and everyone got worried about you. Is that your MO? The more the better?
Sure, for sure. And I think she'd give it to me. Now, she would come over to my dad's house. We were raised by a single dad, too. And I get Thanksgiving. And there were 6 other kids. I was the oldest. She was second oldest. And she'd walk in the house and wouldn't even sit down. She had a big leather purse. And it had her gun and her drugs in it. And she would just kind of motion towards the garage. And all of us other kids would get up, walk to the garage. My dad somehow had no idea anything was happening. I think he just couldn't fathom what was going on with this kid. He bailed down to jail naked, but he couldn't. So we go to the garage, and she'd say, "Get in a circle," and she'd say, "What do you want?" I'd say, "Well, what do you got?" And she'd say, "Everything." And I'd say, "Oh, that's what I want. I want everything." And so yeah, I told her I don't like doing meth anymore. I think cocaine is the way I want to go.
Oh, jeez.
She got me some, and then she saw that, she did drugs, and her husband, who was the biker,
Yeah.
she was also in the business. And people that are in the business trying to build this huge business tend to not be, they can be addicts, but they tend to not be, because it seems like when she's she had an underground lab making methamphetamine herself after she got tired of working with the Mexican mafia. You'd think, well, there's a whole bunch of drugs. Like, I'm the kind of addict, like, oh, yeah, I'm going to do it all. Like, for real. So I don't think I ever went to sleep with drugs. I had friends that say, I'm going to save this for tomorrow. How do you do that? We need to be up for 5 days. So
yeah.
I loved how people would hide a little bit. You got to love the guy in the morning.
Yeah, my brother and I were really good at it. Chris might have been a little better at forecasting, but I totally get it. What about you, Chris?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Go ahead. Sorry, Tom.
That was a question to ask you if meth was ever in your wheelhouse, but now you've answered several of the things I've already wanted to ask you about. So thank you for that. But let's talk about Roseanne briefly for another bit. I've seen or read that you credit her with getting you into proper rehab for the first time.
Yeah. It was, she said, oh, you can't do that every day. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to hide. Apparently I have to hide that.
Yeah.
A lot of my addiction is hiding it. And I think at that point, this is 1988. I never again did drugs or drank in front of anybody. I did them, but I realized, I got to keep this a secret. This isn't partying anymore. People are freaked out. So instead of just quitting like a normal person, I was like, oh no, I need to keep it a secret. And then the next year, she kept asking me to move into her house, and she had this house in Beverly Hills, and I had my little apartment in Van Nuys, but that's where I did drugs and drank.
We understand.
So I'm not going to do that. And but then I finally gave in right before we were getting married. And one night I was driving it. It was in Benedict Canyon, part up towards Mulholland there. And the cell service is still shit.
Yeah.
But which is weird for Beverly Hills. Anyway, I couldn't remember the code to our gate.
Oh.
And so I had to drive up on top of Mulholland, try to get a signal, got a hold of her. And then as I drive back down to the house, I'm like, okay, this is going to be bad. So I park there on Benedict, and I see her car driving down. We had a long driveway. And I'm like, okay, I know what's going to happen. She's going to get out of the car. She's going to punch me. I deserve it. But she got out of the car, and she hugged me. And it was a weird, we talk about moments of perhaps clarity or from God or moments. And I remember feeling that as fucked up as I was. I was, I couldn't remember our own. And I think it was my birthday. It was the code of the gate.
Oh.
So she said, I just want you to come come inside. And so it was very kind. And I thought that something's different, I finished the rest of the blow I had. I went stuck down to the tennis court.
Yes, sir.
And the next day I called a cab and I went to rehab. And I went, and it was quite a public thing because one of my jobs at rehab was to go down and get the newspapers each day. And I go down, and that's how I found out we had broken up, and I'd been fired from the show. And so about 8 days in, something that I never heard before, my counselor there, who I still see at meetings, he talked about doing it for yourself, being sober for yourself. You deserve to be, and that had never occurred to me. I'd done it to keep jobs or look good or keep my girlfriends or whatever. And I really sat on that for a while. And I thought, and he said, well, remember when you were a kid, and, from the Queen of Meth growing up, and what does that kid deserve to live, And I got a picture of myself when I was 4, and I'd carry that because I didn't like me, the guy in the mirror here, at all. People are like, you got to love yourself. It takes a while. You got to try to like yourself first, then fall in love. Yeah. But I carried a picture of myself when I was 4, and I'd look at that picture and go, yeah, that kid, and that kid is me, and he had nobody looking out for him. So I need to do that. And I called Roseanne 8 days in, I said, listen, I love you. I appreciate you. I understand why we're not getting married. I understand why I'm not on the show anymore. But I'm going to stay here. And I'm going to do this for myself. And I'm going to stay in the time. And she went, oh, we're getting married. And I remember thinking, if I could have just manipulated her if I could have said those words without feeling that I really wanted to do it, I would have just said those words, because I've said those words to people, a million times. And so, of course, we did end up getting married at the time. But I'd really sat on that thing, and it really saved my life. So I do credit her with that, and I'm very grateful.
Oh, my God,
what
Tom,
an amazing story, dude.
That is amazing. You thought something altogether different was going to go on, and there you go, man. It's then I don't have the number right, but you were, how long do you stay sober that first go round? Decade.
First, 19 years. I was 19 years sober.
Wow.
In 2008, and I was riding my motorcycle on PCH over there, and I got very cocky with my program, arrogant.
Oh.
And I remember saying to a lot of young guys, because that was during the opioid, I'd say, guys I sponsored, younger guys who were heroin opioid guys, I go, yeah, that was never my thing. That's not my thing. My thing was cocaine and alcohol. I would never. And anyway, I wrecked my motorcycle out there and broke my back. And I remember laying on the highway, and I could hear the ambulance coming. And the guy gets out of the ambulance, and he said, "Are you in pain?" And I said, "Yes." He goes, "Well, not anymore." And pulled out a needle of fentanyl and gave me a shot. I was like, I remember thinking, "Oh shit, no, that's what I needed in my life."
Oh.
That's what I was wrong about all that other stuff. And so a year later, I'm getting ready to take a 20-year cake, my 20, and I realized, oh, I am still on the pain medication from way back a year ago. I am not sober. I'm going to eat this cake because I'm a glutton, but then I'm going to start over.
Then you're going to start over. So you had to, okay.
Oh my God, dude.
Oh my God, Tom. God bless you. And it's interesting to me that you've continued, you have said that you've continued to attend 12-step meetings since the beginning of your journey. Does this include when you were drinking and using, or how did that work?
Well, it certainly included when I was on opioids. Because I didn't know. I had convinced myself I was sober.
Yeah.
You got some pain, and then continuing. I have always got, it's the thing that has saved my life is always got a 12-step meetings, And I think I went to my first in 1986 when I still lived in Minneapolis. And, I'd go, I had 90 days, I'd do this, I'd do that, I'd celebrate, get some blow. I didn't really get it. But in 1990, I started a meeting at my house, which still goes on today. And great group of men and women at first, and then the guys are like, we need to make this meeting stag, because there's too many young women coming, because I have famous friends. I go, Tom, you need to tell the women they can't come anymore. I go, I'm not capable of that. But what we'll do is we'll say the meeting is moving. And a buddy of mine who was just got sober, an attorney, we'll have to move the meeting to your house, because I can't tell these women who've been coming to the meeting, oh, now where you're not, So, but the meeting is, it's Tuesday night. I did a Zoom with everybody. What day is it? Last Tuesday. Things change, but
sure.
I like to speak at variety of meetings. There's some hardcore meetings. There's a lot of good sobriety out here, as you guys, people are like, oh, it's all screwed up. Everybody in Hollywood. There's the excellent sobriety out here. So there's no excuse. And when you do drugs, you think everybody does drugs. Okay? And then when you stop, you assume nobody does. And it's something.
We're with you on that, man. We get it 100%.
Totally with you. And we're of the same era. So, I'm really enjoying this. I have a question. I've asked Casey this question too. A couple people here in the recovery community. Why do we this is just hypothetical, but why do we say we're in recovery instead of we're recovered?
Oh, because we're not recovered, because the first moment we get, we go, okay, we got this. And to normies, it makes sense. Like, why have you recovered? And I've had people write things about me, talking about recovered alcoholic. I'm like, oh, no. I think if you take your eye off the prize, you just have to accept this is the journey. This is who I am. There's no shame in it. There used to be shame in it. There's no shame in it. Recovering is just the better. I mean, I wish and people are always trying to get pills or shots or whatever. And bless them. I hope people try a million different things.
Oh, wow.
And say, I've recovered. I just know that not to be the case with me for sure.
I appreciate that. You had a weight loss journey as well and a fitness journey. Was it something like 80 pounds?
Well, I've always had a fitness journey. I've always had issues with weight. I've lost 100 pounds 3 times. And people,
wow.
People are like, that's impressive. And I'll tell you, it's good for you, but I always tell people it's not good for your skin actually to get so big. But what I would always do is I'd go and, especially after I left Iowa, when you work at a meatpacking plant, you could eat a certain style of food and have it not affect you. But then you're a comedian, you're still eating that much food. It catches up with you. And,
right.
If I think I grew up on a farm, we worked our ass off, baling hay, whatever. We ate like crazy people, but you can't do that in your adult life. So I had, and a lot of times I would be trying to be sober, and I didn't have the drugs or whatever, and I put on weight. I think a lot of people do that. You see people that are just skeletal, and then they get sober and they start putting on, which is great, because nobody wants to look skeletal. And it's great not to freak out about your weight. My first year of sobriety, my sponsor said, eat anything you want, smoke cigarettes, whatever, just don't drink or do drugs. And year 2, we will work on the other thing. Wow. So Roseanne and I went to all over Europe eating, gained so much weight. But I lost that weight 3 times. And what I would do, because I'm from Iowa and wrestling is huge there, I would have a goal weight, meet that goal weight, and then it's on again. Like the second I hit my goal weight, like wrestlers, they weigh in for a meet, they get their weight, and then they gorge before their meet even to give them the energy. So that was my thing. The last one was about 2 years ago, and I was in the other room giving the kids a bath, and I always say it's hard to get your kids in the bathtub. It's hard to get them out, And we were on a time crunch. We're on a time crunch, so I'm like, we got to take baths as a school. Like, whoever gets in the bathtub first wins, so they both get in. I'd run the water, which is great. I just kind of hose them off, and then they were playing, and they have the basketball set up there, and they're playing. And I go, okay, I do the thing where I turn around to the bathroom door, and I count to 10. Whoever gets out first wins. So I do that thing. I'm counting to 10, and when I turn back around, my right eye, it looked like a curtain came down, and so I could not see anything out of it. And so I thought, well, that's weird. My brain felt a little weird too. But I get the kids out. I thought maybe I'd punch myself in the eye when I was counting, and I get them to bed, and then part of my vision comes back, the upper half of my right eye. So I am supposed to leave town in the morning to go to Alaska to film a show. And I thought, I went on Google to see what it could be, of course. Motor. I thought, what I'm going to do when I get to Fairbanks, I'll deal with it. It's crazy. And then I thought, wait a minute, I'm a father with young kids. I'll tell you what, on the way to the airport, I'll stop by my eye doctor. So I did. They shot some dye in me, and then he came back and said, you had a stroke. I go, oh, God damn it. Yeah, you always assume you're going to hear that, but you don't want to hear that. So he said, you have to go to UCLA for a 24-hour stroke protocol. And my big concern was my manager getting hold of the director and give me another day. Don't tell him what's going on. Just give me another day. So I go over there, and I'm very grateful that I have a great medical thing. I have a heart camp for kids, and people are like, wow, that's very nice of you. I go, no, it's nice for me because you get to know the great doctors.
Right.
you lay there in the ER, and they're like, well, there's a list of strokes 1 through 10, and each one getting worse. They go, well, which stroke did you have? I go, 1, thank God, because you get to like number 7, you're all like, oh shit. So
oh shit, dude.
Got on some blood thinners, but I also realized, well, I'm 285 pounds. That's not okay. And during COVID, the kids were homeschooled, and if you don't take your shirt off in front of anybody but your kids, there's not a lot of pressure to look. So I said, it's time to do this thing.
Yeah.
And trainers I'd met at Arnold Schwarzenegger said, he said, well, we'd like to work with you. I go, I'll let you know. And so I called the guy, we started doing Zoom every couple of weeks. And he's worked with very big people. He works with doctors. A lot of doctors get huge, as you guys know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Charles was his name. So he would say, here's what I want you to eat, when to eat it, and weigh in. And then by summer, this was February of 2022, and in the summer, I was going to be filming a thing with Arnold. He said, what's your goal? I go, I'd like to be my original True Lies weight when I filmed that. And he goes, oh, yeah, that'll happen. I go, I could not fathom it. But I took a leap of faith. I did what he said. My kids started letting me do cardio. I started doing it, and by the summer, I'd lost 80 pounds, which is crazy. And I remember thinking all the time, it seems impossible, but I will do this thing, and I will change the way I eat. By the way, it's a lot about what we put in our mouths. We'll say, oh, I did this exercise or whatever, or I remember used to tell my dietitian what I didn't eat that day.
Oh.
You know what I could have eaten, but I did it. So, I had all kinds of food things, and so it's something that I work on every day. It's like a program. It's like I'm fully capable. It was Christmas, it was Hanukkah, then Christmas, right?
Yeah.
New Year's. There was a lot of food around here. I blame my kids.
Perfect.
Halloween is the worst because I won't throw food away. I have this thing my dad had. Like if they don't eat something, I'm like, okay, I got to eat that. So I can blame them. At Halloween, they know enough to hide their candy that night. Because I'm a night eater. I'll realize, oh, did I get up last night and eat? I'll find my mouth guard on the kitchen table. I go, oh, I did. I went to the fridge. So I have, I have to stay on top of that like everything else.
Yeah.
And knock on wood.
Damn right.
Oh my God! And you're a single parent, and would you? The kids were the motivating factor for this last time, and your health as well. How's single parenting go?
Yeah, and beyond that, 7 years ago, from a week ago maybe, I was on a plane to South Africa. I needed money. I was going through this, and I decided to do this show that would not air in America. It's like one of those, I'm a celebrity, whatever, the cameras everywhere. And the idea was you flew over the biggest game reserve in the world, and you jumped out of a plane with nothing. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. And before I went, I thought, well, what do I need? I was kind of thinking as my own doctor, and I thought I need some Xanax. That's if I'm going to be in the middle of who knows. It's going to be hard. First time I've ever been away from my kids. So I thought I should get 90, 10 milligrams. That's the only thing I stuck in there with me. And benzos, I'm going to tell you something, man. Getting off of opioids or alcohol or cocaine, obviously that could be done. But I couldn't get off of the benzos, so I got back. Like I stopped taking them, and it was so weird. And so I went back to my third rehab to deal with this benzo thing. And I remember getting in there like, it's not a real problem. I think it's just maybe psychological. I get in there, and a guy from my home group, you're not supposed to read the internet, but of course I broke that rule. But Chris Cornell, who I've known many years, very sweet guy, very funny, great musician. He had hung himself.
Yeah.
And he was on, I called his wife. I go, what is going on? And it was benzos. And he had taken him. He was on the road. He was not quite, he obviously worked in his program. And he had a workout band on the knob of his bathroom, wherever hotel he was in. And I knew, because I know how when you're on benzos, you like have this second alternate reality where you see that thing hanging there, that band, and you're like, I could hang myself. That goes through your head, but you're not saying I want to hang myself. And then one time, you just do it because you're in that. It's sort of like a movie. And he got to an argument with his wife, and she busted him on the benzos. And he was freaking out and said she's going to talk to a sponsor or whatever. And he hung himself. It's that certainly could have been me. It's insidious, the benzos. Let me tell you something, man.
Oh my God.
People, and a lot of times people die now. It's opioids and benzos. I mean, they go, well, there's fentanyl in their system or whatever, but there's also benzos, and people don't acknowledge that. For all I know, that's what Matthew Perry. He definitely, besides him being his own doctor, I mean, he's a great guy, and I've known him many years from our common disease, but I think he decided to become his own doctor too, and his doctor killed him. That's all.
Oh shit, man! Terribly tragic, I might say.
Oh my God, Tom!
Golly, brother.
Listen, we totally appreciate you taking as much time as you did, and future plans for Tom Arnold.
I'm going to make my kids something to eat in a minute, and they're kind enough I need to work. I'm going to turn. My big plan is hopefully, knock on wood, turning 65 March 6th. And people are like, is it hard for you to get over? I go, I can't wait because I get Social Security, and the day I turn 65, I get to stop paying alimony. It's
oh my God. Is that a thing? I had no idea. That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Oh my God.
I just love being alive. I'm so grateful for today, for talking to you guys.
Well, it's
a pleasure.
Go to David Buster's, me and the kids. Like it's a great life. I don't take it for granted. I don't take having my kids for granted, for sure. Because
heck no,
the issues I've had to deal with there, Bob. But it's great, and I do remember the last time I was there. I'm thinking, oh gosh, if I could just make it to, if I could live to be 65. It's crazy I'm alive. It's crazy I'm alive. That, but I thought that'll be a big day. That'll be so.
Well,
I'm pretty. But I, my daughter had said the other night, Daddy, how old will we be when I'm in college? And I said, I'll be 75. And she goes, I'm not going to college. Okay. Honey, you don't have to go to college. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
But, just a day at a time is how I live my life as a father and as a human. And because I try not to get ahead of myself. I get very dark place. Going, okay, I think that happened, this happened. So just live in the moment with you guys. Thank you for doing this today. I hope you guys, I'll see you down there.
Yes.
Very excited to meet
absolutely, Tom.
Listen, this is a sidebar, but I just have to ask, how did the meeting go when you were introduced, or you introduced each other to Arnold? Was it Tom Arnold, Arnold Tom?
No, I do. That's funny. Anyway, thanks, guys. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
We'll see you guys soon.
See you soon. Thank you so much,
Thank you, Tom. Take care, brother. Okay, so how cool was that to have Tom take the time to hang with the Yale brothers today? Thanks, Tom Arnold. Want to thank our friends for listening. I'm Chris Yale. Roger Yale has left the building. If you want to get in touch with us, it's yalebrothers@gmail.com. One more thing to say. Rock and roll.